Yeah, no, that's just what I wanted to get to, actually, is to just, put some sort of framework around it, and then we can fill it in.
Yeah. Mr. Freed, from your literary perspective and vast knowledge of all things hotel technology, beyond recovery, optimize your channel connectivity, and win market share, does that resonate with you?
How can we make it shorter and still informative?
Do you know?
That's how I was looking at it. I was like, oh.
The 4 years that I've been here, every webinar, blog post, article, somebody in marketing would say, "Why can we make that shorter?" I can't figure it out.
Make it punchier.
Yeah, so I just have a couple questions that I think will help formulate the conversation. So I don't think it needs shortened. I think it's good. I think each of our things can be branded Beyond Recovery, right? Like, so Beyond Recovery, whatever, for January, February, and March. But help me, and I'm sorry, I don't know this, Mr. Emanis, help me figure out exactly what these will become. And then I think we can, we can tweak the title to fit the medium. So are we thinking that we'll do a webinar on this and then that will become a blog post, or will we do a blog post to generate traffic for the webinar, or what are you thinking in your head?
So I think a webinar would be great, and a blog post to follow would be, and that, to me, that would be ideal for lead generation, content creation. I think some of this is going to depend on who can get on board, whether it's Infor or somebody else, and we can actually execute that. So maybe while trying to, and you had mentioned this a while back, Jason, trying to execute 3 webinars on 3 different topics in 3 months would be quite a challenge. I agree. And maybe we only get 2 or 1, and then the second one is, the first week of March or something. But can we just go down the road of, hey, let's do a webinar on this, and we'll create a post-webinar blog post, and we'd like to involve Infor, and then, maybe there's 1 or 2 others that can get on board as well, so we can really increase our reach and expertise within the content.
Yeah, that makes sense. And second dumb question is, so Infor is a PMS, right? So how does the PMS and SHR work together to optimize channel connectivity? Maybe that's a question for you, Sarah.
Yes.
That one particular PMS, or just in general?
In general, I think.
In general? Basically, we need all the information out of there if the hotel's working in there. That's kind of the long and the short of it. Like, is it passing all the fields that are available to be passed so that both systems can optimize? For us, the guest booking part, and then the guest service part. That's the long and the short of it.
Yeah, so
in my perspective, I can go on and on and on, but
no, yeah, that's great. Yeah. So what does getting all the right information out of the PMS and into, I'm guessing we're talking about Windsurfer here, right? Or are we talking about all 3 products? And if we're talking about, regardless, what does that allow the hotelier to do? Like, what's the benefit, right? If assuming this is all working properly.
To get the stuff from the PMS and the CRS?
Yeah.
CRM, RMS stuff. Yeah, no, it allows us to get to know our guests better so we can present them proper offers during the booking path.
Yeah,
so Sarah,
I can make that sound better, but
no, that's perfect. I'm just having let's have just a conversation about it. None of this is going public, so it will just help us. Yeah. It'll help me tweak the title, right, by understanding what the benefits are. So, do you have that 2-way integration with Infor currently?
I'd have to look.
Okay.
I mean, no PMS is perfect. So I think we can talk about a specific PMS if we need to on this thing. But I mean, holistically, we want to just, everything that can travel between the systems should travel. Even if you don't need it today, you might need it down the road or something else.
Yep.
So yeah, looking at it from a broader perspective, we want our system to talk to each other so we can both serve our mutual clients, and then obviously the guest gets the best end of both of it.
So just again, I'm sorry for asking dumb questions, but just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like simplifying it for all of us. So this would mean, like, when you say serve our guests best, or, you know, present the right information to the guest in the booking engine. So this would be, I'm just trying to think of like the guest journey, right? So a hotel, you're saying a guest will come to Windsurfer booking engine, and how will having the PMS data help tailor that booking experience for them?
Okay, so if they are making a reservation and they're a known guest, so say they're using our CRM or our registered guest or whatever, you know, we'll have information to speed up the booking process, right? Because they log in, or well, in both those situations, you would log in. So then it would reduce friction in the booking. If you had a CRM, then you'd know even more, right? You'd know their preferences, you'd know all of that. That would also populate on there as well.
So we'd be able to tailor an offer to them based on their preferences and their past history stay, right? Maybe not like a specific rate or a package, or maybe a specific rate or a specific package, but at least we'd be able to know, hey, this person booked the corner suite last time they stayed with us, and, you know, they also booked a spa appointment. So let's present them an offer that's got the corner suite plus a spa reservation, right? Is that the kind of things we're talking about?
So yeah, down the road, that's where we want to get to. We don't necessarily do that today, but yeah, to be able to say, hey, this guest likes this stuff, let's sort our return so that we show this stuff first. Because they normally like corner suites, let's make sure the corner suite comes up first and then all the other offers down below. That's where we want to get to. We're not there, so I don't know if we want to overpromise.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to dig down and get to, is like, where are we at today that this, you know, having the PMS and the CRS connected in an ideal situation, what does it allow the hotelier to do? And maybe
So
it's not in the booking, you know, maybe it's not at time of booking, maybe it's something else that I'm not thinking of.
yeah, so I mean, if we just go down the list, so for, you know, distribution, then obviously we have all the correct information in both books, right? So depending on where you're pulling inventory, things like that, you want all the information to go back and forth so that you have, you know, mirrored in both systems, so that you're not having to do workarounds or, you know, manage each system differently. They're just talking to each other as far as restrictions, what's in there and all of that. Revenue management, obviously you need to know your room counts on the books, who's booking what rates, what segments, all of that. So that you need that from your PMS. And then obviously the guest management part that we were kind of talking about before for the CRM. So it can be kind of broke, you know, where individually it might be hard to build a full story around each system, but when you look at all three systems together, I mean, it's all about that mirroring. Because we can book whatever we want, but until they manipulate it down in the front, you know, front desk system, we need that information back to know what actually happened. Otherwise we're flying blind. We think we sold all these suites, but they all switched to different room types or whatever when they got down there. So
got it. So from a pushing out perspective, pushing information to the PMS, we need to, you know, the PMS needs to have all the information from the CRS. It needs mirrored, all the data needs cleaned, right, and needs deduped, so that the PMS has all the correct information from the CRS. And then from the other way, we need the PMS to give us all the right information so that we can tailor the experience. I'm sorry, I'm probably.
So we need to know. No, because if you're looking at a specific guest, then you need to know, exactly what did that guest end up paying, what room were they in, did they stay, just so our records match, if you will, and then our inventory is matching back and forth. Revenue management, we want to know about it because, we want to know what the guest ends up paying. And, segment, day of week, all that stuff, so that we can figure out how to predict pricing going forward. And then for service, we want to know what actually did that guest end up in, so that if they, whatever, log a complaint, we'll know they were in a crappy room, or if, they keep booking the same room over and over again, then, we know that's what they like and make sure that's in their preferences. So I don't know if I'm rambling.
Can we take this? Can we take this back to distribution and build to the story that you just kind of outlined, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're talking about optimizing channel connectivity, like you were talking about in the title. How do you optimize high level? How do you optimize channel connectivity with a deep integration with your PMS?
I think, not to interrupt, Sarah, or answer the question for you,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what's in my head is it reduces the manual effort, right? It reduces whoever's overseeing distribution at your property. It reduces, whether that's the revenue team or the marketing team, it reduces them having to go through and double check every channel and make sure all of the rates are correct, and all of the terms are correct. It automates that for you, right? So you can kind of trust that across all of your channels, your rates are what you want. I guess that's kind of part one. Is that accurate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we're doing kind of another project. We're doing guest research, and this is what comes up all the time. Is, we ask them how they do their day, and it's like, well, I'm constantly checking Expedia because it's always, doing something weird or something didn't pass. And yeah, it's a theme. I'm working on summarizing that information. That's why it's kind of top of mind. But ongoing checking this stuff because they don't trust the systems.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess part two of that would be, okay, so that's kind of the basic stuff, right? That's making sure that all your rates and your availability are accurate across all the channels. But then if you want to start doing some strategy, and maybe you want to start shifting share from OTAs to direct, this is how you can do that, right? With these proper connectivities. Like you can, maybe give loyalty members a preferred rate by booking direct versus having them book through a third party. I don't know if this brings up like all kinds of rate parity issues, right? But there are ways that you can convince travelers to book direct rather than through an OTA, correct? I think that would kind of be part two of the benefits of this.
Yeah. No, I would push just offering more options. Allowing guests to kind of tailor their stay a bit more, add-ons and things like that OTAs don't. That shouldn't get us in trouble.
But it also helps with better understanding the distribution mix, right? That your hotel should have. So you're trying to grab market share as fast as you can coming out of this. The more information you have, am I off? Am I going off?
No, I think you're right.
No, it's turning a bit into an IBE recommendations, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, you're shifting share because you're going to make sure that your direct site has the best offers, if not slightly favorable offers. And not necessarily talking about pricing here, just kind of, the descriptions are nicer and the pictures are nicer, where Expedia and I don't know how I would word that in the public, but, where Expedia, you just slap the basic, description on there or whatever.
Well, and this information might even shed light on, and maybe this is just the CRS, but anyway, where should I be putting my effort? Maybe I need to put more on Expedia because I'm getting what I need out of it. So you're 20%. Now I need to go up 20% Expedia, and a mix combo. Like I always think it's kind of dangerous for us to talk about booking direct. Not that we can't, but we have to be safe. So, we always revert back to, it's the best distribution mix for your hotel and everybody's different. So this information between the CRS and the PMS help with establishing channels, or is that more just the CRS?
I mean, the CRS is the guest-facing part of it, right? Where the PMS comes in, assuming you have some sort of a CRM or registered guest thing, booking on there, the system's going to automatically recognize you. You're going to have all your stay history put together for the front desk to recognize and, get your preferences. So we could kind of angle it that way, that booking direct helps you tie all your guest profiles together faster, if you will, or more efficiently, I should say, so that this guy, hey, he's been here every time, so you don't have to start with, have you been here before, when the guy checks in, and then him because he's been there 50 times.
So Sarah, practical question for you. So, assuming we have this connection set up and it's a two-way integration, it's deeply integrated, and the PMS and CRS are feeding the right data back and forth to each other, everything's mirrored, and you want to start looking as a hotelier, you want to start looking at this data and formulating a strategy around it, right? Actioning it, using it to make decisions. Where do you find this data? I know, again, dumb question, but do you have to dive into you have to run a bunch of different reports and kind of start comparing this report with this report with this report? Or is there a dashboard somewhere where you can kind of summarize all this information? Do you know that?
Are we talking windsurfer specific?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of reporting in windsurfer for them to be able to see their production, depending on how they want to look at it, by room type, by channel, by rate code, by whatever, assuming they have a full two-way interface and they have all the information from the PMS as well.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the crux of it, right? That's why you need that two-way. That's why they need to be integrated properly, so you can have all of it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we could, small hotel groups, they can run chain level reporting quickly and easily instead of having to run, 5 reports out of 5 PMSs. They can just run it out of the CRS, and just be able to see things faster and make decisions faster. I think that's another theme that we're hearing in these guest interviews, recognize trends and things.
Mr. Emanis, before we go further, I think the biggest thing to look at here is we should probably make sure that this connection does exist with Infor before we move forward and have Infor as a partner on this. It would be
let me do a little recon here.
And Sarah,
this is fine. We can all still use this holistically, but
Sarah, the reason I chose Infor was primarily Europe. The PMS is always.
I thought you were going to say elite.
No.
I was going to throw it out the window.
No, it's like we want to do some co-marketing with Infor, Oracle, and Muse next year. And
got it.
Yeah, so that's the reason Infor, and maybe that was a poor decision, but that's why it came about.
Okay, well, looking at Infor, I'm using Amanda's notes, so she's represented here. They do pass full reservations back and forth. Inventory, full back and forth. Rate code configuration goes back and forth. Oh, we can talk about that too, being able to set up, rates and the CRS, and they automatically build in the PMS or vice versa, because it looks like they do both of those. Rate codes. Yeah, okay. It looks like they do have a, for the stuff we'd talk about, they have that two-way interface. We can talk to Amanda about anything specific. It looks like they do actually support blended rates, which is cool because most of them don't. So we could talk to Amanda a bit more about that if we want to do Infor specifics. So.
Explain blended rates to me if you don't mind. What does that mean?
So blended rates, it's if you're, the best way I describe it is, say you've got a New Year's Eve promo and it's only available on New Year's Eve, but you have all these guests that are coming the day before New Year's Eve and New Year's Eve. And if that promo is only actually open for that one night, they're never going to book it because you're only going to hit the people that are hitting it for one night. So if you blend it with bar, then they'd get bar for the first night and the New Year's Eve package for the second night.
Got it.
And you can blend up to like 3 year. I think you can even, actually, I think you can do almost unlimited rates now. So anyway, so it looks like Infor supports that. I'd have to talk to Amanda about exactly what that means. I'm assuming that just means they'll accept the blended rate information as like a reservation with 2 different rate codes on it. Opera does that today, so I'm assuming that's what this is, but I would talk to her before we made any baseless claims. So then they can accurately report in the PMS to say, we sold a bar rate on the 30th and a New Year's Eve package on the 31st instead of 2 bar rates or 2 New Year's Eve packages or stuff like that. So.
And then talk to me quickly about, shoot, what was I going to ask you? Rewind a little bit in my head. I'm sorry, I totally forget what I was going to ask. It'll come.
No worries. Ideas come and go. Okay, so rate create, and then I can also ask Amanda about blended rates. But that's another way to.
Oh, I know what it was.
Get into the guest service part. Yep.
Before I forget again, you said that they can set the rate in the CRS and that's automatically transferred to the PMS. Is that how a customer, a hotelier would normally do it? Or would they, if there's a revenue management system involved, they're probably setting the rates there and the rates are being pushed to both the PMS and the CRS. Is that accurate? Or what are the benefits of that, of being able to set the rate in one and have them pushed to the other system?
So it looks like they do PMS to CRS. I'd have to check with Amanda if they do the other way. Well, it's just being single entry, right? Just.
Yep.
But it's actually the rate creation too, which is also a big complaint for hotels. That I have to build the rate in the PMS and in the CRS, where in this case, they only have to build it in one place and it goes to the other. So, so it definitely does that PMS to CRS. I'll check with Amanda if it goes the other way around too.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not on this sheet. Maybe she has a note.
That sounds crazy to me. Is that in reality? I'm not a hotelier. I'm a marketer. Is that a reality that oftentimes hoteliers are having to build rates, their rate strategies in multiple systems?
The rate codes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have to build them in both. The more forward-thinking PMSs that we connect with, we can support it. So if they build it, it can come up to the CRS, and then we also have a function on the CRS to be able to push that to the PMS. So I'll just confirm both ways that goes. But yeah, that's another complaint that we're getting a lot right now in these client interviews is they have to build it in 2 different places.
And for the sake of understanding it a little bit better, the CRS and the booking engine, the difference between the two, are we using them somewhat interchangeably in this conversation? So when you say, you build the rate code in the PMS and it gets pushed to the CRS, does that mean it automatically appears on the booking engine how you want it? Or is there some like tweaking and customizing of the booking engine that you also have to do?
Okay, yes, you do, probably. It depends on the system.
Okay.
And it depends on your windsurfer configuration. So in some cases, yeah, you can just load it and have it go out. That scares other people where they want some sort of control, but that's all configurable within Windsurfer, whether or not it can go directly out to the channel or not. Windsurfer also supports a lot more stuff than PMS as far as images on rates and rooms and things like that, and like fancy descriptions and GDS stuff. So, I mean, we can go down in the weeds with that. We can. But yeah, we can.
Okay.
Just getting the shell of the rate there is a big win, even if they have to go clean it up afterwards.
It's helpful. I think I could write a blog with this, Mr. Emanis.
Cool. That's good. Do you think you could weave together a short description of what this should be about so that I can share with Infor?
Yes, of course.
And then, I mean, I'm open to another partner, maybe two. And I don't know, Sarah, you can think about it. Jason, if you can think about it, I'll think about it. We don't have to. I'm just,
I would always suggest a client if possible.
Yep.
So it would be great if we could get Sarah or Amanda as representation of SHR, somebody from Infor, and then somebody who uses both systems. And then you have a moderator and you have 3 panelists. And to me, that's kind of the ideal number of people that you want.
Okay. So I'll work on finding an Infor client. I'll work on getting Infor on board and finding an Infor client.
And I think we would, in my head, I'm just talking out loud, we kind of have to limit this conversation to the benefits of the deeply integrated connection between the PMS and the CRS, and not bring the revenue management. And we can hit on the revenue management and the CRM part of it, but not dive too deeply into that, because I think our later conversations will be, the benefit of having the RMS, the CRS, and the PMS connected. And then the conversation in March would be the benefit of having the CRM added to all that. And then, in April, we come out with this amazing piece on why you need all of these pieces integrated. I don't want to steal the thunder from that with this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you there. That was,
that'd be great.
Narrow our thinking. Because there's plenty of stuff we can talk about the CRS. Just it might bore some people, but if these are hoteliers, it shouldn't bore them.
I'm really excited for that full look at, when you have all these pieces connected, what you can do. There's so many amazing things that you can do to better connect with guests all along their guest journey, and, even tailor the operations when they're on property. Maybe that's something we can get into with this one too, is like, when you have all that information about the guest, what I keep hearing is that like oftentimes this data is analyzed after the guest leaves, and you're like, oh, this is what the guest spent in the restaurant, or this is what, they booked a spa appointment or something like that. How can we better serve them the next time? But it would be great if hoteliers had this information like right when the guest checked in, right? So you can communicate better, you can shape their experience while they're on property, for the 3 days that they're on property or whatever. You can connect with them better and give them the right offers, and have their preferences. I also keep hearing that, and Sarah, maybe you can clarify this, that there's a difference between the data that the hotel has at the hotel level, and that like the hotel company or the parent company or the brand, if you will, has. And I know you guys don't work with like Marriott and all the big, but who is best served? Who's going to be able to action this information? Is it, in literal terms, is it like the front desk clerk, or is it like the property level revenue manager or marketer, or is it really like the brand to take this data and action it and start giving the guest a better experience?
So that leads into the revenue management, guest management thing. So the RMS is going to take that data and use it kind of holistically as a representation of their client base and figure out pricing and trends. The guest management is going to take all that information and of that specific guest and their specific preferences, plus what they've done before, and hold it all together on their central file. So in theory, once they make another booking, all that information goes down to the PMS, with all their guest preferences. And even if the PMS doesn't have a specific field for like, they like a high floor and away from the elevator, that'll still go in the comments. That's the way our CRM is setting up, and we can hit more on that when we get to that topic. But yeah, it's making sure that we're passing all that information to the PMS so that they can do the best for the guest when they're standing in front of them. So I guess to answer your question, it's whoever's managing their database, which would normally be the CRM manager, plus the the line level desk clerk that started last week that can just read in front of her, hey, this guest likes this, I better try to get it for them. Did that in any way answer what you asked?
It did, but what was the last part that you said? I think it was very poignant. The part about the property level person who started last week.
Oh, that as long as the profile is up to date, they can just read what's on the profile. This guest likes champagne, not beer, and they want to be on a high floor overlooking the pool, so that they can actually see the information that someone worked really hard to put together on the guest profile.
Yeah, and they would get that guest profile sheet from the PMS?
Yeah, it would be part of the reservation.
Got it.
So they book, their profile's attached with everything we know about them that we're allowed to pass to the PMS, which is why we want to pass as much as possible, and then ship it on down. So the front desk can easily just look at it and figure out what they can do for that person. Because yeah, we can be as fancy as we want, but if the front desk can't pull it off, then it doesn't really matter.
That's critical. I think that's kind of the key, the crux of this here. We can be as fancy as we want, but if the front desk doesn't see it and know how to action it. Last question for me is, so we've mentioned a couple examples, and I'm trying to think of what some other examples would be, right? So, one example would be, last time they were here, they spent $500 in the restaurant. So we better offer them a restaurant reservation or a coupon to use in the restaurant. Another one would be like a spa. They booked a spa appointment last time we were here. I think you brought up two great examples that I didn't even think of. Maybe they want a high floor, and maybe they want to be away from the elevator. What are some other common guest preferences that maybe I'm not thinking about?
Let me look in our CRM, because
perfect.
Then my brain power is not really
pet friendly.
Yeah, there you go. They bring their dog. We better have a dog bed in there.
Their support horse.
Peacock.
Peacocks are mean.
Okay, let's see. Preferences. So they have bedding preferences. That's a little debatable because people's bedding preference varies depending on if they're traveling with their family or not.
You mean like
pillow preferences
pillow versus a firm pillow?
Yeah, feather pillow, hypoallergenic. And then we go as far as, in our CRM, we do more like, do you want sweet, salty, spicy, so that when they're doing amenities for their like loyalty guests, or if they're going to send the guests something to try to hit, what they're actually liking, that's where we get, do you want champagne, red wine, white wine, beer, whatever.
Obviously, this would never be for publication, but is this for the everyday guest, or is this really for those VIP guests? And is it applicable for like a mid-scale hotel, or is this really only luxury hotels that are going to this extent to tailor their experience that deeply?
I would say, so these preferences, and obviously people can do whatever they want with them. This is, just our system. Our thing is you should know what the guest likes, so that if you screw something up or whatever and you want to do something nice for them, you don't have to sit around and think about, hey, what should we do for them? Or if they hit their 100th stay or whatever. So the way our CRM uses it is anybody that signs up as part of the loyalty program for the hotel, they get these questions. Whether they answer them or not, it's up to them. But these questions are part of their, profile options to fill out. So no, I wouldn't say it was just high end. I would actually think that the more economy stays do better on this stuff, probably because their guests stay longer.
Yeah, like Vagabond. Isn't Vagabond implementing Wave and Maverick?
They're
CRS
doing
user?
Maverick, but they're not doing the loyalty part. They're just doing the marketing part. Down the road, we may be able to get them to do the loyalty, but they're just doing an independent hotel. So it's not even a Vagabond. It's called, I think, Sea Sprite or something. It's like a updated, fancy, independent hotel. Well, when I say fancy, I mean, it's an updated like motel turned into a boutique.
That's the you brought up another question. Does a hotel have to have a loyalty program to implement some of this stuff? I mean, does it have to be able to? They have to somehow be able to store these guest preferences, right? Like, the guest is going to have to log in or give some guest ID to be able to pull these preferences up, right?
Yeah, so they don't have to have a formal loyalty plan. They can just call it like a guest recognition program or whatever, where, hey, let us store your stuff on, file so that you don't have to enter it every time.
I think a little, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just backpedaling a little bit. I think we're getting a little into the CRM component, right? Like we're really just talking about the benefit. And for this conversation, we're really just talking about the benefits of having the PMS and the CRS connected. Now, a lot of this guest profile stuff isn't going to be pertinent, right, to that conversation. But I guess since we are tailoring the booking experience, we do want at least the ability for the guest to log in if they have a loyalty program, right?
Yes, or a recognition program, or just a file housing program. I think we would probably start the thinking process if we just mention, hey, just everything you know about your guest in the CRS, you should pass it to the PMS, whatever that is. If the guest just typed it in on that one booking, you need to make sure that information passes, whether it passes in a designated field that is supported, or it just passes in the reservation comments. So I think we could just kind of draw the line there. And then when we get to the CRM part, we can talk about, the deeper knowing your guest preferences and stuff. I think ideally, if the guest takes the time to tell you about something during their reservation, you should probably recognize that when they check in, even if you can't accommodate it, right? Just to say, sorry, we don't have a high floor this time, but we'll try next time.
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful for me.
Thank you, Sarah Jones.
Do I need to do anything else?
We'll circle back with you when we get our crap together.
No, I love it. I love that I don't have to write it.
Oh yeah, that's why Mr. Freed's here. I love it too. I don't have to write it.
Write it. So hey, even better.
Oh no. No. So what it sounds like is I need to go get an N4. I need to go get an N4 windsurfer client, and let's try to do a webinar. So we'll need you for a webinar in January sometime.
And so what I can do
we'll try to push Amanda to do it, but yeah, I'll do it. If you can't get anyone else, I'll do it. But
I think you'll be great. So what I'll do is I'll give you a title, a description, and then like a bulleted list of 5 talking points that we'll discuss during the webinar. I'll turn that over to you, Jason, and then you can go to N4 and say, hey, this is what we're thinking. Do you have anybody that would work for this?
Perfect. As soon as you can, sir.
Yep, I'll give it to you today.
Yay.
Oh, perfect. All right. Thank you both. I got to go jump on a call I'm late for.
Oh yeah, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. But thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you so much.
Glad we got this sorted. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.